So if you're wondering if you need an extravagant setup to build some of these dragon fruit support systems, the answer is no. Look at this. This is how they build the concrete posts. So tell us a little bit, what is this form? How do you use it?
So these are 2x6s. I think we ripped down to get to our 4.5 by 4.5, 4 3/4 dimensions. And then you basically drill a hole through the middle, screw it to the end, run your 3 pieces of rebar through, have them come all the way down to about 6 inches from the bottom, so it's totally completely encased in the concrete. And then you put a little suspension to suspend it right in the middle of the form. Then you form it up. We have these. You can see we have these braces right here because you can see they're kind of opening them up.
Okay.
So you can keep them close together.
Keep them nice and tight.
Keep them nice and tight till you about 2 to 3 days.
So a couple days. Okay.
And it takes 2 guys to put them up, right?
I mean, you can. I mean, I have done it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes 2 guys. We usually put them on a wheelbarrow now and just wheel them to the spot and then dump them right in.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, it's like a big battering ram. But
And it looks like you haven't used it for a while.
No, we haven't put any posts in probably almost 2 years now. Yeah, so we have a hookup at Home Depot, but it's a 90 pound. So these are 7 feet long. It might be a little bit shorter. 7 feet long, about, almost 5 inches square. And we do about a 90-pound bag of concrete and a 60-pound bag, and 3 pieces of rebar.
I get the 50-pound bags because you can see my stature, but
12 bucks or something?
yeah, you probably, and the
12
rebar
bucks.
can get expensive. Rebar is more expensive these days. If you buy really long pieces or scrap, it's cheaper. I tend to buy the long rebar and then I cut it up. It's a lot cheaper to do that.
$20 a post, maybe, or something like that.
I would probably say on this setup, the way he's doing it, probably about 20 to 30 tops per trellis.
Still not bad,
As soon as you get your forms, it's just concrete and rebar.
Yep.
You know.
And once you set it, you get to forget about it. And that's the thing. Wood, if you use wood, it's probably the same price, if not more expensive. And then you got to deal with the rot.
We do have a little, what do you call that? Sometimes we oil it up so that it doesn't, so it's called a release.
Oh,
so it doesn't,
okay.
So,
you use some type of oil to make sure when it breaks apart, when you...
Not every time, but every 4 or 5 times, just slap it in there and it releases the concrete from the wood.
Ah.
Yeah. So in the middle of this, there's the 5 by 5 square in the bottom, so the post can go straight through the bottom. And then we also do holes around, probably about 1 inch holes. We don't want anything too big for the gophers to get in.
So you have gopher problem too,
We
I
have
guess.
huge, big gopher problems, and this, with the thickness of this pot right here, they don't eat through that. But the black pots, the regular black pots, they'll eat right through that.
They'll get through it.
Oh yeah.
Wow. You got some aggressive gophers.
Yep.
When I used some of this early on, the UV destroyed the plastic. How does it do here? Because it seems like all yours are doing pretty well.
I think it's different types. So if you look at that pot right there, it's getting destroyed.
Okay, so maybe some are UV.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We get these from a floral warehouse or a distributor, I guess, up in Carlsbad. And then we just cut them in half and do what we got to do to them.
Those are 55 gallons, right?
Those are 55 gallons. Yeah, so I get them for $6. So usually, if you can get a 25-gallon pot for $3,
you can't beat that. I mean, because they're expensive. Yeah, you go to a hydroponic store, they're like 16 to 20 bucks a pot. So
yeah, and that's pretty much the only reason how we can do this is we get the pots for $3, and then we get the concrete for free. We know somebody at the Home Depot.
Where do you get a tire?
And then the tire, we get it from a Escondido racing team. They use them on the weekends and then discard them. So we have some pretty brand new tires that we get, and I get those for about $6 to $7 each too. So
really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a way that you can do these on a budget.
We're super budget here. Yeah. I mean, we get the manure for free next door. I mean, the cuttings you just cut and drop a new one in. So
So this shows that you don't need to spend a lot of money on potting soil and fancy fertilizers, where if you have a neighbor that has a nice horse, you're good to go. And again, I think that sand, 50-50 sand is key.
huge.
It sounds really like, I mean, I just made a pot that's 100% sand. So I wanted to see how it does. And so far, so good. And we'll see what happens over time.
Yeah, and I'm doing the rooting. The cuttings, I'm doing in pretty much 50 sand too.
So you root them. And so if people wanted to buy a sugar dragon cutting, is that something you guys sell?
Sure, yeah, we sell the pollen.
Do you have a website?
Yep, website is sundragonfarms.com.
All right, so we'll put that in the description, and people could buy fruit?
At this time, yeah. Now we have fruit. Usually starts. We were about 6 weeks late this year.
Everybody was late, huh?
Yeah, everybody was late, and so now we're getting fruit, $8 a pound, and
Can't
yeah,
beat that.
it's coming in. We've got about 30 varieties.
And it's organic. You said you don't add any chemical fertilizers?
No, I mean, I buy organic food, so I would not put anything on my plants. We don't put any anything in the soil or spray them with anything. They grow so fast that you just cut out what is rotten out.